Ladies and gentlemen, if everybody can please take a seat, we're going to be starting exactly just before 4:30. We need to make sure everybody's in their seat, and that's almost time. Please take a seat. Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shirley Brandman, and I have the honor of serving as the chair of the USG Board of Advisors. I am joined by one of our vice chairs, Kevin Beverly, and together it is our pleasure to serve as co-MCs for this very special USG tribute to Dr. Freeman Hrabowski. We are truly humbled trying to capture in words a fitting tribute for this unabashed and visionary equity warrior. There are not enough superlatives to fairly describe the system-shifting imprint that Freeman Hrabowski will be leaving at UMBC, at USG, throughout the state of Maryland, and honestly, for that matter, on higher education throughout the nation. We know there will be other celebrations, but today is a special opportunity for USG and throughout Montgomery County to say thank you and to express our deepest gratitude for a job well done. We salute you for an incredible 30 years as the president who truly put UMBC, but also USG, on the map. As the last standing university president who goes all the way back to the founding of USG, Freeman, you have always championed creating opportunity, opening doors for all students. And you've been an outspoken champion for USG because USG creates access and opportunity for students who might otherwise have been denied. And no one is a more stalwart advocate for those students who join the ranks of UMBC alumni by way of earning their degrees at USG. Before I turn it over to my co-MC and colleague, Kevin Beverly, I want to acknowledge some special guests who are joining us today, and apologies in advance if you snuck in and we missed you. But I'd like to acknowledge State Senator Nancy King, State Delegate Pam Queen, Delegate Gabe Acevero, who I might add is a UMBC at USG alum, Delegate Brooke Learman, Delegate Jared Solomon. We have our County Executive Mark Elrich with us tonight. Montgomery County Council President Gabe Albernos, I think, is coming in the door. Councilmember Will Jawando, Councilmember Sidney Katz, Councilmember Hans Reamer, our new Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Monifa McKnight, our Board of Education President, Brenda Wolf, Montgomery College's brand new president, Dr. Jermaine Williams, welcome. And we are honored to have members of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents with us. Could I please ask those of you who are with us to please stand so that we can recognize you? And my colleagues from the USG Board of Advisors, both present and past, I invite you all to stand, please, so we can say hello. And with that, it's my pleasure to hand things over to my friend, Kevin Beverly.
And thank you, Shirley. Welcome, everyone. One of the things that I just can't, this is just such an honor for me. I've known Freeman since he took over at the University of Maryland in Baltimore campus. I was a fledgling operations director at Computer Sciences Corporation. And even then, he began to demonstrate what public and private really meant. CSC had asked University of Maryland at Baltimore to come up with a program to teach their new senior leaders, or new junior leaders, emerging leaders. I'm all confused here now. But part of what was happening during that period was there wasn't a lot of STEM going on. There wasn't the words were not in the vocabulary. But what I got to see was something I didn't see. First, I got to see an African-American president of a university. That was amazing. And I got to listen to a presentation that was just all-inspiring. Others may not have recognized in the room what I recognized, but I saw a mentor, I saw someone I could look up to, and a model. And I thank you for that, sir. So, without further ado, it's on to our program. Our first speaker today is none other than the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, Dr. Jay Pearman. Like Dr. Hrabowski, Dr. Pearman is a great champion of USG. After serving several years as a president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore, Dr. Pearman was named by the Board of Regents as the 5th Chancellor in 2019, on the very day we celebrated the opening of this wonderful building. When Dr. Pearman is with us, it's always a great day, and we appreciate you showing up for every opportunity. So welcome, and Dr. Pearman.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Shirley. And I thank the Board of Advisors for its visionary leadership, Dr. Kademian, of course, and really the entire USG community in its broadest sense for inviting me to say a few words about our dear friend, my dear friend, Dr. Freeman Hrabowski. Look, I'm not going to attempt to recount all of Freeman's accomplishments. As Shirley and Kevin have indicated, there are far too many. And we know so many of them. And most importantly, we have all been the beneficiaries of Freeman's accomplishments. You know, I'd like to focus on how Freeman has forever changed not just USG, but the entire university system of Maryland. And more than that, how he's changed the state of Maryland. And in doing so, I'd like to start by sharing my first meaningful interaction with Freeman. And ironically, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't in Maryland at all. I was at the University of Kentucky, serving as Dean of the UK Medical School. And every year in Lexington, on the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the city of Lexington would join with the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity to put on what they called, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day morning, a unity breakfast. They still do it. It's nearly 30 years old now. It's a big deal. Thousands of people attend, business leaders, government leaders, civic leaders. There are speeches, there's singing, and it's a joyful celebration. There's even a parade afterwards in downtown Lexington. I look forward to it every year. And when, you know, one year, of course, the speaker was Dr. Hrabowski. I had a chance to talk with him, my good fortune. It was really, Freeman, my first real memory of engaging with you, even though you had been leading UMBC long before, even during the time when I was at UMB's School of Medicine, but I really never got to know you. And in talking to Freeman, it was clear that we were from very different backgrounds, but it was equally clear to me that we cared about the same things. Diversifying the academy, who the teachers are. You know that expression, you can't be what you don't see. Secondly, dismantling the barriers that separate young people from their dreams. And thirdly, opening access to higher education so that those coming up behind us would have the same chance we were given to do something special, That's what I got out of meeting Freeman. Now, I didn't know at that point, of course, that I'd be coming back to Maryland and that the two of us would have the opportunity to grow closer still. But for me, Freeman, it was and still is special that we should come together at a unity breakfast. And if I could offer an opinion, I think we could all use a few more of those kinds of events. You know, there are few people in this world who have Freeman's passion for equity, for inclusion, for justice, and who also have the incredible skills, the leadership skills, the technical skills, the organizational skills to pull off what this man has done at UMBC, in the university system, and across Maryland and the world. In many ways, UMBC is the petri dish for a grand experiment, the experiment Freeman calls inclusive excellence. His premise that you don't have to choose between quality and accessibility, that in fact they can and do coexist. And the success of that experiment, success on a scale that few could even fathom, success won under Freeman's skillful and steady hand, that success has meant everything. Inclusive excellence. It meant that given the right conditions, all students can achieve. And that to write off any one student because of race or wealth or address was not only morally wrong, but incredibly short-sighted. And more than that, at odds with our own collective best interests. It also meant that if all students can succeed given the right conditions, then yes, we should create those conditions. We should make them. And one of those conditions is meeting students where they are. That's the whole reason we've gathered here right now. Because USG, Ann, meets students where they are, with the campus and the services and the flexibility and the support they need. USG understands access. And no one's been a bigger supporter of USG, yes, than Freeman. Because Freeman is the patron saint of access. Freeman's success has shaped how the USM thinks about higher education, what we value, what we replicate, and also what we will not tolerate, what we will not abide. It's shaped how our state leaders consider their investment in higher education and what they demand to see as their return on that investment. UMBC's success, its bold and daring success, has changed the academy and what we expect of ourselves and what we know is possible, because now we are certain, without a shadow of doubt, that success is meaningless unless everyone shares in it. And now, because of this man's example and insistence, we're absolutely certain that everyone can share in it. We have to make that happen. 30 years of Freeman's leadership has taught us that lesson, has taught us what to expect of ourselves. And I promise you, Freeman, it's one we will not unlearn. Thank you, my friend.
Bear with me. In the right place. Our next speaker wanted so badly to be with us in person, but he's recovering at home from a medical procedure. He assures us that he is doing well, but because he was not able to be here, he has provided his remarks via video. No stranger to anyone in Montgomery County or the state of Maryland, the Honorable Isaiah Leggett is a former Montgomery County executive and county council member, elected offices he held for a combined 28 years. He is now a member of the USM Board of Regents and the USG Board of Advisors. Together with our USG Executive Director, Ann Kademian, he recently co-chaired the USG 2.0 Strategic Plan Committee. The USG community is so fortunate to have his support and leadership working on our behalf each day. Please turn your attention to the screen as we hear from our good friend and a longtime friend of Freeman's, Ike Leggett.
Freeman, unfortunately, I cannot be with you today. Due to an unavoidable medical procedure, it has precluded me from being with you and for all of those who have celebrated your remarkable accomplishments. Over the many years that I've served in public life, I've known a number of leaders, and few, if any, can match your leadership skills, your ability to communicate, the motivation, the passion that you bring to the job, and the success, and especially over such a long period of time. You are one remarkable leader. I congratulate you. I've known you in my role as a professor at Howard University, as a council member at large here in Montgomery County, as a county executive, as a member of the Board of Regents, the Board of Advisors of Shady Grove. In all of those capacities, I've noticed your leadership ability, and you have led and led with distinction. It is one thing to lead for a short period of time and to be liked and highly respected, but to do it as many years that you've served this community of educators, this community of scholars, and at the end of that process to be so well loved and respected is truly remarkable. You've done an awful lot of things that I think that have helped our state, higher education particularly, but more importantly, the entire nation, because you provided a role model, you provided an example that many of us throughout this entire nation can follow. I've looked at the many graduates that you produce, the highly skilled, motivated faculty and staff, your ability to utilize the resources that you have at University of Baltimore campus. You have done so well, and you did so many years with very little. The products that you've made for this state and for this nation are remarkable, whether or not it's in science, whether or not it's in education, and so many other fields. Even in public service and government. The Speaker of the House of the great state of Maryland is one of your graduates, and so many others that I meet and seen over the years. But, there are things that I think people fail to recognize. And one of the things that I want to mention is the culture that you set and have established. I know that there are awful, difficult challenges at times, but the ability to motivate students and to have the culture that you presented to our field of education is truly remarkable. I saw that in a number of examples. We know of the great chess teams that you produce. We know of the great debate teams that you produce. But one year, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, even knocked off the reigning champion in NCAA basketball. But what was remarkable about that, there was an interview of one of the student athletes at the end of that great game. And he had this opportunity to celebrate with all of his colleagues, the chance to really look back on that great accomplishment right off the field. And that young man said in the middle of the interview, "Excuse me, I have to go and study for an examination next week. I looked at that and I said, you know, that's Freeman. That's the culture. Rather than to spend time celebrating, he wanted to get back to studying. If all of our leaders can produce students with that caliber of intellect, that caliber of athletic skills, and be so highly motivated, it is a remarkable skill. And so people look at an awful lot of things that you've done and accomplished. I look at that one simple, possibly overlooked example of something that I think really reflects your leadership and the culture that you provided. Congratulations. We're not going to lose you, hopefully. You have an awful lot of years left to provide not only higher education with remarkable skills, talent, and resources, but to help this great nation of ours. Continue to enjoy what you've accomplished. Take a few days off, get back in the game in some other capacity, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Congratulations, Freeman.
That was wonderful, huh? So another longtime leader who served our community with distinction for 11 years was president of Montgomery College, was also unable to attend this evening. She's now out west in her new role as president of Nevada State College. And like so many rising education leaders, Dr. Darian Pollard saw Freeman Hrabowski not only as an inspirational leader, but as a mentor. Here's Darian in her own words.
Congratulations to my friend Freeman. I want to tell you a little story about this man who is special to so many of us. I had the pleasure many years ago of being a faculty member at a community college in Illinois. And at that time, I was charged with developing the professional development program for our faculty that year. And as a result of that, I came across the video of this tall, wonderful, articulate, brilliant man who is a scientist and a mathematician primarily, talking about the value of STEAM, way ahead of his time, as an educational delivery, and the essentiality about that, and how to connect with Black and brown students around these issues. And I was mesmerized, as so many people were. And I invited him to the college to speak, and he came, and he was then newly the president of University of Maryland in Baltimore County. And I was struck by the fact that not only did he give this phenomenal explication about the sense of urgency around math and science education in this country, but he talked about his mother, and he talked about her being an English teacher, and he shared poetry in the midst of his piece. And I thought at that moment, I said, this man is really the personification of STEAM. Here's a gifted mathematician who believes and understands science and technology and engineering, but he talked about the value of the arts in giving breadth and depth to a human experience. That art, combined with his mathematical mind, has made him one of the preeminent scholars and thinkers and leaders in higher education. And I felt so just grateful in that moment. By the time we got done talking, he said to me, Darian, you're going to be a college president one day. So imagine, 20 years later, give or take, I moved to the state of Maryland to become the president of Montgomery College. And I saw that he was still at UMBC, and I had followed his career. And I sent him a little note and reminded him of who I am. And I thought, there's no way he's going to remember this conversation with this young woman back many years ago. And he remembered it specifically. And from that day on, over my 11 years in Montgomery County, he adopted me. And the thing that's really important about this is the way that he mentors and leads in this space. He's a little Denzel, a little Sidney Poitier, a little Barack Obama, charismatic, confident, cool, knows how to command a room when he walks in. But at the end of the day, it's about the care and the ethic of that. Freeman Hrabowski, thank you for what you did for me personally. Thank you for what you did for Montgomery County and raising and understanding the value proposition of education and why the community college was essential, not only to your success at UMBC, but why it was essential to the narrative of this country. Thank you for being you all the time and showing up the way you show up. And thank you for reminding us each and every day that Black magic is something that we all need a little bit in our life. Congratulations, and I can't wait to see what you do next, because I have no doubt that you're going to continue to change the spaces that we're in ways that none of us could have imagined.
Despite all the heights that Dr. Freeman Hrabowski has reached in 30 years at UMBC, he has stayed grounded in the singular commitment that most drives his visionary leadership, namely his passion for supporting students to aim high and to claim their own unique destiny. Each and every student. He listens, comes to know each unique scholar, and inspires, encourages, and mentors. Our next speaker is representing the thousands of students who have benefited from the excellence of a UMBC education here at USG. He's an outstanding alumnus who graduated in 2012 and serves today on the UMBC Alumni Board. Please welcome Gabriel Spiro.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabriel Spiro, and I'm a proud UMBC at USG alumnus, as well as a member of the UMBC Alumni Association Board of Directors. I came to USG from Montgomery College because I wanted three things. One, I wanted to pursue my love of history and political science. Two, I wanted to do so at a reasonable cost. Third, I wanted an institution that was recognized and respected in the area. However, at that time, I also had a family situation which required me to stay close to the Montgomery County area, and this brought USG to the forefront. While my college experience was much different from traditional students at main campus, UMBC at USG was what I needed at that time and has continued to impact me since. As a historian, I feel like I need to delve into the history and the background of UMBC at USG, and in doing so, recognizing the impact of Dr. Hrabowski on this unique institution. It cannot be understated how significant your work in building this community and the impact that UMBC has on its community, but also to the Montgomery County area. Back in the early days of this institution, Dr. Hrabowski believed in the vision of what USG could be and has continued to expand UMBC's presence here on this campus. About a decade ago, there were only 7 programs, but because of Dr. Hrabowski's commitment, there are now 13 and more. For years, I've always told prospective students and fellow alums that UMBC at USG is unique. Given that it only provides upper-level classes, it means you're able to focus on your specific program. For me, that meant taking 4 to 5 history classes in a given semester. The downside to that was 4 to 5 history classes in the same semester. However, the community here is one that I am thankful for, and I'm still in touch with many of my colleagues to this very day because of our shared experiences. In many ways, I believe because of what Dr. Hrabowski's goal for his students, even though we may be miles away from Catonsville, the programs here at USG have a personal feel to them and mirror what I've heard from main campus students, though I think our community here has its own particular flair. The vision that Dr. Hrabowski has for the universities at Shady Grove in 1990s has grown and matured into a truly formative community. While many of the students here at USG may not set foot on main campus, they have definitely felt the effects of Dr. Hrabowski upon their lives. UMBC at USG has affected me in so many ways and has continued to impact me in my professional life. I'm happy to represent the students of USG on the Alumni Association's Board of Directors and will continue to highlight the various ways in which our community is unique and special. But in many ways, this is just a result of the decades of dedication and care that UMBC has had from the top of its leadership and has flowed down through its administrators and faculties to its students. While we may be inaugurating a new college president soon, we will still continue to feel Dr. Hrabowski's effect and love here at the USG campus for decades to come. Dr. Hrabowski, on behalf of the UMBC at USG students, past, present, and future, thank you.
Well, thank you, Gabe. When Freeman did a TED Talk nearly 10 years ago, he addressed the importance of the cultural change that needed to happen here in America for teaching. He was talking about one of his favorite subjects, the teaching of science and mathematics. But at the same talk, he said, "We know we need the humanities and social sciences and the arts. They teach us what it means to be human. They teach us our values. They help us to put history in perspective. But we need to understand as a country that we must have a culture of hope." I think it's fair to say that there's no one who understands better the importance of teaching and the teaching of teachers who instills hope within their students than Freeman Hrabowski. Our next speaker is a longtime professor who embraces that vision and philosophy and proudly represents the USG campus on the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus Faculty Senate. Please welcome the director of the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus Shady Grove Psychology Program, Dr. Diane Alfonso.
I like that. Good afternoon, Dr. Hrabowski, Freeman. It has been an incredible honor and privilege to be a part of the UMBC community under your leadership. I'm sure that everyone here has a special story about their connection to Dr. Hrabowski. For me, being a faculty member and program director at the Shady Grove campus has given me a sense of pride, and I am thankful that you had the foresight to not only join in on this grand experiment, but to also lean in and really embrace the Shady Grove experience. However, my more direct connection has been in my role as a faculty senator and as a member of the Faculty Senate Executive Committee. Now, to be perfectly honest, I only joined for the free food. But it was during these meetings that I learned how committed our leadership was to shared governance, that they don't just talk the talk, but they actually care about the thoughts and opinions of everyone involved in this university. While there wasn't always agreement, we did engage in civil discourse as modeled by our leaders. Following Robert's Rules of Order, we made sure that there was equity and justice in our decisions. While I recognize that Dr. Hrabowski is leaving his role of president of UMBC, I don't think of this as a retirement. I mean, can anyone really imagine this person retiring? No, instead I think of it more as a commencement. It is the entrance into a new phase of important work that you will be undertaking. At the same time, though, I know that you are not leaving us ill-prepared. You have given so much of yourself to UMBC and have accomplished great things in your time here. You have achieved newsworthy recognition and honors and have grown UMBC into a highly respected institution which very recently achieved the coveted R1 Carnegie classification. Yes, let's hear it for the Carnegie classification. While I can say without any fear of disagreement that you will be dearly missed as an inspiring presence on our campus, we know that you have planned for our future. Like a good parent or educator, you have laid the foundation and given us the tools we need to not only move on, but to continue to grow and thrive. You have truly set us up for success. Now, in musical theater, when you come to the part of the speech where words can no longer take you on, the person usually launches into a song. I think you see where I'm going here. I would like now to honor you with this special message just for you. In a time when life seems overwhelming, in a world where every crisis leaves a scar, you give us strength to reach beyond our boundaries and empower us to journey out that far. What you started, you truly cultivated, and the seeds you planted, you nurtured on the way. You laid a path to grow into our future with the knowledge that you'd pass it on one day. And so we bless you with goodbyes and our best wishes. And despite the tears, we'll keep our hopes alive. We know you've left us well prepared and very much aware that success is never final, and we will thrive. With integrity, you built a strong foundation. With sincerity, you led us through the door. We know amazing things await you, so tonight we celebrate you, the leader, sage, and man we all adore. So while we bless you with goodbyes and our best wishes, and despite the tears, we'll keep our hopes alive. We know you've left us well prepared and very much aware that success is never final, and we will thrive. Yes, you've left us all we need, and we're ready to proceed, because success is never final, and we will thrive. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Wow. Diane, thank you. That's memorable, right? I mean, if we were gonna simply give everybody a chance to come up here tonight to do this, you'd have to put your retirement off for a year. So we can't do that, obviously. But what we did manage to do was to put together a group of videos that I think are a great tribute to you. So roll the videotape.
You know, Freeman, I have known you for more than 30 years, and I recall attending your presidential inauguration in 1992. How quickly time passes, my friend. Through the years, you've stayed the course, putting UMBC on the worldwide stage as one of the top leading institutions of learning in this country.
Hello, friends. This is Montgomery County Council President Gabe Albornoz, and on behalf of all of my colleagues and really all of our residents here in Montgomery County, I want to acknowledge and thank the incredible career of Dr. Freeman Hrabowski.
Your thoughtful approach has always been to bring out the best in everyone, even in those who didn't always have the confidence to believe in themselves. You have helped students shape their future, particularly young people of color, and they have excelled under your leadership.
As a UMBC alum and now a faculty member, I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you, Dr. Hrabowski, on your upcoming retirement from the university.
Hello, Freeman. I am so going to miss you. You've been such a wonderful friend to me and have been such a driving force, not only for UMBC, but for higher education throughout the state of Maryland.
I just want to thank you for your leadership. During my time here at UMBC, I have truly felt part of the community, a community where I've been able to develop both personally and professionally. And my hope is I've helped students do the same on their journey through UMBC.
Dr. Hrabowski, your brother, Councilmember Will Jawando here, saying thank you for your years of service to Maryland, to UMBC, and to our entire nation.
Thank you for being such a great educator. Thank you for being such a great partner to USG. Thank you for being such a great friend to Montgomery County.
I have observed how your name and vision have been intricately embedded in UMBC's day-to-day life. It is an amazing thing to see.
You have been an inspiration to not only our students, but to leaders in our chosen field of education. Your message has come through loud and clear that we, as educators, can make a difference through the noble field of teaching while helping children pursue their dreams.
I just wanted to express my personal congratulations and deep sense of gratitude for everything that you have done, not just for people in Montgomery County, not just for people in the state of Maryland, but all across the country, for being such an extraordinary example of somebody who can do great things, but do it in the right way.
You have truly been a crusader for education. And as the son of an educator myself, I know the sacrifices that you've made along the way to make sure that everyone has access to a high-quality education and how important that is for our future.
What I always remember and will always remember fondly about you is the incredible compassion, interest, and love that I saw you show your students every single time that I was on campus. And I think that's just reflective of the kind of leader that you are and the community that you helped build at UMBC.
To me, your most important accomplishment was changing the lives and inspiring so many students and families. Your example has inspired me, and I wish you all the best in your new adventure. Muchísimas gracias.
We commit to carrying forward your legacy of excellence here in our community, and thank you so much for your leadership.
So thank you for being impactful to me, and hopefully I too will be able to make a difference.
Thank you for your 30 years of unbelievable leadership so that all of our children who have met you, worked with you, and been your students will have a better life because of your tutelage.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Congratulations, and we will continue to benefit from the fruits of all of your labor over such an extraordinary career.
So thank you. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your stalwart commitment. Thank you for your steadfastness in terms of making sure that education is something that's provided for everyone.
It is indeed a pleasure knowing you professionally, Freeman, and having you as a special friend. Wishing you the very best in the years ahead.
Best to your wife and to your family. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So I'm gonna throw this back over to Shirley, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank Freeman personally for the attention that he's given our college track students, and you were always there when they needed you, and every time we get a chance to, we honor you. So thank you, sir.
I'm hoping you're feeling the love. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. And at this time, so now I'm going to ask you, Freeman, to come and take a seat over here, along with Dr. Ann Kademian, the Executive Director at the Universities at Shady Grove, as she's going to be hosting a sort of fireside chat with our guest of honor. But before that, to properly introduce Dr. Hrabowski, please welcome UMBC's Associate Dean for Shady Grove Affairs from the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences, Dr. Anika Wayman.
In April 1994, I was a high school senior in Westchester, Pennsylvania, with the goal of getting an engineering degree. But I knew that as an African-American female, I would need to find a college that would provide me with the support and encouragement that I needed. As I said, it was April. Decisions were due in less than a month, and I had no idea which university to select. Little did I know that I would unexpectedly cross paths with Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, a math whiz who grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and was involved in the civil rights movement. Very admirable, very close to your family. Graduated at age 19 from Hampton University, received his master's in mathematics and PhD in higher education administration and statistics from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, served as a math professor in various administrative roles at the University of Illinois, Alabama A&M University, and Coppin State College. Eventually became president of UMBC in 1992, and most importantly to my journey at the time, co-founded the Meyerhoff Scholarship Program at UMBC. The Meyerhoff Scholarship Program was originally established to help African-American males that already excelled in math and science obtain PhDs in STEM. The Meyerhoff program is now for all high-achieving students committed to pursuing advanced degrees in research careers in science and engineering and advancing underrepresented minorities in these fields. This gives you a small glimpse into the life of this great man that I was unexpectedly about to meet back in April of 1994. A few days before my high school's first Diversity Day, I was asked to introduce Freeman, as I am today, as the guest speaker at the event. I met him the night before, where he fired off the same questions he asked students today. What's your GPA? How are you doing in school? What are your career goals? And I had no idea what this was about, but I answered and I rattled the answers off. The next day, after I sat down and after introducing him, he offered me the Meyerhoff scholarship right on the spot. UMBC and the Meyerhoff program was everything that I was looking for in terms of the support that I needed for pursuing my goals in engineering. So I joined the 6th class of Meyerhoff Scholars. By the way, UMBC is now selecting students for the 34th class of Meyerhoffs. So I don't expect that Freeman has a grandiose offer for me today, as he did 28 years ago. But he doesn't have to, because he's been a constant encourager, mentor, supporter, and role model for me through successful and not so successful times in my undergraduate, graduate, and professional career. That's why I didn't hesitate to come back to UMBC and serve in this role as Associate Dean, to expand UMBC's STEM excellence with my partner, Dean LaCourse, at the universities at Shady Grove. But my story and engagement with Freeman is not unique. He's like this with so many UMBC students, as well as many others that cross his path. That's why he has a list of accolades and honors that would take hours to read. Most recently, last month, Freeman was elected into the National Academy of Engineering. The NAE is a membership of 2,000 leaders in engineering, including top researchers, practitioners, and educators from both the US and international communities. So this is a great honor, great honor. So I'm very honored to welcome my mentor for life. Yes, you will be my mentor for life. Freeman Hrabowski, as he shares his reflections with the thoughtful, energetic, and dedicated executive director of the Universities at Shady Grove, Dr. Ann Kademian.
It's powerful. Powerful.
Okay.
You're powerful. I did.
Okay. Are we on? Okay.
Testing.
Okay. Testing, testing. Can I stand up? Sure. Okay. Turn. It's good?
Testing.
There we go.
Testing.
We're on. Okay.
Back on.
You
Great.
on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Great.
President Hrabowski, it is such an honor to have you here today. Thank you. I feel a bit emotional, especially after that beautiful song that Diane Alonzo provided.
Give her another round of
us.
applause for that song.
And that wonderful introduction by Anika as well. Thank you, Anika. And thank you to all the speakers and everyone who has joined us today for this wonderful event. I want to give you a chance to respond to everything that you've heard so far.
Thank you. First of all, would you give Ann a round of applause for all that she does? Ann was kind enough to nominate me for the National Academy of Public Administrators in the last few months, and I'm in that too, but give her a round of applause for doing it. She did. She really did. And thank all of you from, just everybody, from the Chancellor, when he talked about Kentucky. I will tell you something that people there said to me when he was thinking about coming here. I got calls from the black community in Kentucky saying, this man is the real deal. Treat him right. Give Jay a round of applause with you. And all of the people who spoke today, the county executive, all the others who have talked from the council, from Senator Nancy King is here, all the legislators, Jared and everybody else. Let me just say this. First of all, I am deeply honored. I am so honored. UMBC takes great pride in being in this county. My colleagues from Anika to Christille to so many others here today would tell you we try to bring our best game to Montgomery County because you represent the best of America. There's no doubt about that. I often say, what should be expected of one of the richest, if not the richest large county in one of the richest states in the richest country in the world? And that is who you are. And so USG is so critical to that, and I'm very proud. One fatherly story, when I met Anika, amazingly, she was the president of the SGA, and she was one of the 1% of black kids in the school. And she spoke with such confidence that I said to them, I will send her back to you as a PhD. She and her husband, both UMBC graduates, have PhDs in bioengineering from Georgia Tech. But give them a round of applause. And Mr. County Executive, she lives in your county. In your county, they do with their boys who are in schools here. So 3 of them, right? So I start with that. You know where my heart is, right? With that, Ann, please.
Fantastic. So I've been here at USG for a year and a half. It's a job I waited for my whole life, in large part because of the wonderful commitment to access, to affordability, to equity, diversity, and inclusion that you represent every day, that our chancellor represents in his leadership. And, you know, every meeting that I've been in with you so far, you end every meeting with keep hope alive, right? And if you're not there, someone does it for you, right? To make sure that it's said. This room tonight is just animated by the energy you've brought to all of us, by the commitment. You've uplifted all of us in so many ways. Tell me about what brings you to this point in your life, in your leadership. How do you sustain that energy? What is it about your experience growing up that brings this full game that you bring every single time to everyone? Tell us about that.
It starts with the people. I'm looking around and seeing my colleagues. If you're from the UMBC campus here, working with USG, but from the UMBC campus, raise your hands. Let me see who you are, because I'm seeing so many of them here. Give them a round of applause, and others too. And chair of psychology will appreciate my saying, Diane, I'm afraid that the music department may take you over after a while from psychology. And you should know for USG that Diane serves on the Faculty Senate, Executive Council of the Faculty Senate, and that speaks volumes about the role that USG has on our campus, that they are integrated into everything we do. She brings that perspective. The students, my alum, Gabriel, he spoke like a history professor. Give him a round of applause, would you? And that black and gold on. And there's my answer to your question. It's the people. Any educator knows it really will be the ideas and seeking the truth, the research that we do, and then the interaction with people, the teaching and learning, working with younger colleagues, and working with Montgomery County. Let me just say that your county has this ability to say thank you in many ways. Chris knows that. All the legislators, when I'm in Annapolis, when I'm here, county executive, all the council people, my dear friend, Dr. Frida Lance, when she was Montgomery County Schools, the new superintendent, the new head of Montgomery College, everybody to us. When we come down to the college, to the school system, people say thank you. USG, the students are the best. They really are. They are so proud. I met some outside to say it from UMBC. And others said, well, I'm from this other campus. And I said, that's okay. You're our sister institution. That's okay, too. It's okay. All right. But it was just great pride. And that gives me joy. It does. Any educator is inspired by the human contact. Just as with all the wonderful, I can't say this enough, with all the wonderful statements made by so many people, there was something about the music that elevated us. You talk about the role of the arts in the midst of it all. That's shocking all of a sudden. And talking about success is never final. It's unbelievable. By the way, Denzel and Sidney Poitier, I'll never forget that. You made my night, so keep humor. That's my point. In the midst of it all, humor is important. Never take one step too seriously. Very important.
So we're going to talk more about USG and UMBC.
Okay.
But I want to start with your broad leadership philosophy.
Okay.
And you know, the term the empowered university,
yes.
the title of your book that you've written with colleagues at UMBC, and the term inclusive excellence,
yes.
student success, yes. the soul of the university,
yes.
right? These terms are all used, yes. they all represent aspects of your philosophy, of how you approach what you do.
Yes.
Tell us about the empowered university. Where does that
yes.
term come from?
Sure.
What animates that term?
Sure. I go back to my childhood. It was in that period in 1963 at the Children's March, and right before it, when sitting in church, and this minister is there, and I don't want to be there. I've told this story so many times. My parents have placated me with the one thing I enjoyed, and that was doing math. So I'm 12, and I'm doing my little algebra, and all of a sudden, this minister says, if the children participate in this peaceful protest, all of America will understand that even our young people know the difference between right and wrong, and they want a better education. We had some wonderful black teachers in these all-black schools, but not the resources, and we were so tired of the hand-me-down books from the white schools. It was so debilitating. And I'll never forget, Dr. King said, tomorrow can be better than today, but it will take you to make it that way. He was empowering the children to believe that even we, that I as a 12-year-old could do something in the spirit of the Rose civil disobedience, to make a difference. And that was empowering. And so when people ask me when Peter Henderson and Philip Rouse and I wrote this book, what does that mean? It's empowered to look in the mirror at self first, as a society, as a university, as an educator, and to say, what do we do well? What do we do well, and where are we lacking? Where do we need to improve? We can always improve, right? And the key here is that I think about our University System of Maryland with members of the board who are here, people from the system who are here, somebody who's been with me since the old days, Joe Boffman, who's going to be retiring. Give her a round of applause, would you, Joe Boffman? We know each other so well, right? But I bring that up to say we as a system, and I'm so proud to say this, look in the mirror at self. And it's a Jay Pearman who can say, yes, I'm a physician, and I was the president of University of Maryland, Baltimore, And I care about the little children of Baltimore. That we as a system have to care as much about pre-K through 12 as we do about what happens in college and grad school. Very big round of applause for pre-K all the way back. And so the notion, when I think about the research that we do in the social sciences, humanities, and it has everything to do with the human condition, it seems to me, and being empowered to say, we will be honest about the problems, academic achievement gap, health disparities, economic challenges, and we want to find ways of doing two things. One, focusing on the ideas that can help change policies and shift our thinking about some of that, but also building the workforce, which is where I especially come to USG. Absolutely, that we know we want to build a workforce based on affordability, accountability, access, and success. I love your new plan, which talks not just about getting people in here, not just about their graduating, but did they get a job and were they well prepared? Yeah. That's why I love the biotech program that Anika runs, for example. It's very important. The psychology program, the industrial psychology, or the social work program, people getting jobs. That we and several of you have talked about the need for many more social workers in your county and needing those programs here. You know, so in all those areas to the technology areas. And that's being empowered to look in the mirror and hear the problems, and this is what we can do to begin solving them. That's the idea.
So I want to come back to that point about workforce
as
well.
Yes.
But I've heard you tell a story about being a student in a math class.
Yes.
And the professor writing away on the chalkboard, and you raised your hand and said, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And the professor being a little bit irritated with you, and the class saying like, oh, what do you mean? What do you know?
Yeah.
And then when the test came around, you got the A-, and everyone else got the C's, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about the honesty, right? The honesty that's required to be empowered, right? It's really the courage to ask these hard questions, isn't it? To say, I don't know.
Yep.
I need to find out. Can you talk more about that?
Sure.
This is, I think, one of our challenges as institutions, as people, to say we don't know. We're not sure.
Yes.
And I think that's the key to some of this empowerment.
I appreciate that. Let me tell you a funny story first, very quickly. As a pre-freshman at Hampton, my beloved Hampton, I just knew I was the smartest kid in the class, and the first test scores came back, and she went up through all the A's, and the first wasn't my name, second. By the time I got to the 8th name, I had tears coming out my face, realizing I'm far from the smartest kid. And then all of a sudden, they said, well, there was only 1/100, and the teacher said, Coleman, you can come get your paper. And all of a sudden, this kid gets up, this young lady. We called them girls and boys in those days. And this girl gets up, and she's so humble, and I'm so upset. She got 100, and I got an A-. And I said to the class, I'm going to marry her one day. And guess what? I did. And we've been married 51 years. Jackie knows this. Yeah. So that's the true story. So I always tell people, if you can't beat them, marry them somehow. I always say that way, either way. But I hope that's not politically incorrect. But the other side of the story, though, is that in grad school at Illinois, I was the only little black kid there, and I was younger than everybody else, and they were all men, no women faculty tenure track. There was only one woman on the 100-person faculty in math, and she was not tenured. I'm not tenure track, PhD, and who was very supportive of me. But I'm in the class with all guys, all white guys, and they will not ask for help. And the guy would go from, in proofs in algebraic topology, he'd go from step 1 to step 5 to step 10, and I would, coming from a liberal arts college, I'd say, well, how'd you get those others? And he'd look at me and go, isn't it obvious? And I'd want to say, sucker, if it was obvious, I wouldn't ask you that question. But I can't say that, and I'm scared in the class. First time I've been in class with white kids. And the guys are smirking at me, but I'd go to the professor and just say, I'm sorry, I don't get it. And he would work with me, a little annoyed, but he'd work with me. And we got the papers back, and all these kids, these guys, they were older than I was, they got, in grad school C is not, they did not pass. I'm nosy, I'm looking, I'm Southern, I'm looking at their scores, right? They were getting C's, and I got an A-. I held my paper, but I said, I guess it was obvious. But the point, the larger point, the serious point, is that we have to know how to ask for help, to teach our students to ask for help, our colleagues to get support as they're going through tenure and all of that, and then universities. We're talking in system all the time about how we can help each other. There's no doubt that the medical school of our system helped us all out. The fact that the chancellor was a physician during COVID. But we were getting best practice from them and then from other experts on our campuses around the system who were experts. But if we hadn't asked for help, we couldn't have made it through this period. And that, to your point, empowered to be honest with ourselves, to be honest. We know that poor children of all races still need much more support than we give as a society, right? We've got to be honest about those things. If we were talking today about reading skills, like we know this. We know that so many poor children of all races do not read well. And if you want a child to solve math word problems, she must first be taught to read and think. Because word problems, chemistry, physics, engineering are based on word problems. You've got to be able to read. So at the base of it all will be reading and thinking.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Shady Grove here, we are very dedicated to this pathway, exactly what you're describing, right? Start early, all the way through our great partnerships with Montgomery College, with MCPS, with other community colleges, and then with our 9 university partners as well. And you know, it's a unique model here, very unique. You don't see this model other places in the country. Great possibilities. You saw the possibility of this place early on. Tell us what you saw, your thinking in your initial steps in coming to USG from UMBC.
So let me be very honest about geopolitics of Maryland. I am a Baltimorean. I live in Baltimore County. We in that area have so many strengths, and yet we know that this part of the state has many resources, and many challenges also. But we know, and many of my colleagues, faculty members, live in this part of the state. And we know that the growth, much of the growth, just as you sometimes look at Northern Virginia, we look at you. We just do. I was on the tax commission years ago for this state, and I'll never forget learning more about Montgomery County. And my colleagues and I said to Joe Boffman and some others, yeah, we need to be there. We need to be there a lot, okay? And somebody said, well, can we just bring Montgomery County up here? I said, no, we can't do that. But we can go back down there. And we have so many faculty members who live in this county, you know, and so it just made sense. It really did. And the system was enlightened enough to know, and legislators, Senator King was here at some point, and others were enlightened enough to appreciate, and others who were here, that this state deserves strong higher education. Strong higher education. Some of you may not know, we're in the top 2 or 3 best educated states in the union and income-wise. But the average for any state of percent educated would be, from 4-year institutions, would be about 30%. Secondly, we have some fine community colleges in this state. I want you to give Montgomery College a round of applause. They are superb. And next, let me say that these 2 new young leaders are getting some fine places, because Montgomery, your school system, is second to none. Big round of applause for Montgomery. Second to none. Now, and one of the reasons, let me just say this, is the strong international population. As a STEM person working with the international math competition and all, we know that people who have backgrounds from other countries often have an intensity, a hunger. And it didn't start with just this century. You go back in Europe and you look at people who came from other countries, particularly European countries throughout the 20th century, and what did they bring? They brought that hunger and intensity. Well, this is what you have, as New York has. You know, you'd be surprised to know that 60% of our students in Baltimore County, 60% of our UMBC students coming from New York to Montgomery College have a parent from another country. And it makes a big difference. I know Shady Grove has that, and it's a part of the strength about America and about this county. And so I want you to think about the fact that for us, we thought about the school system, we thought about Montgomery College, we thought about this region. We wanted to be a part of this beacon of hope, because when you think about the richest and the most expensive, think about it, the average income for the country, the median income is in the 60s, mid-60s or so. For this state, literally in the 80s. And for Howard and Montgomery County, way ahead of that. I mean, just people don't realize, off the charts. Now, as people here tell me, but you have your poverty issues also. I get that. You know, you're working with both. But I'm saying this is a place that can show America what is possible. There's the point. When you've got the richest and some people who are at the bottom economically, how do you take advantage of the resource? Well, that's what UMBC saw here. Even as we work in Baltimore, we wanted to work here, and it has been wonderful. If you talk to my colleagues, Christine and others, Anika, no, we enjoy the students coming out of the school system, out of Montgomery College, USG, and when we come here, let me say this, you can't meet a nicer group of students than at USG. Give it around me. There's something very special about the culture here and about the staff and faculty who believe in nurturing and supporting. Diane knows this. She's the parent of 2 of our graduates now. She knows this, but others know that this is, and so we are very proud to be a part of this community.
Well, we're very proud to have you as a partner here. Thank you. I want to, you like statistics,
yeah.
You like data.
Yeah.
I read recently the University Innovation Alliance,
yes.
right? A consortium dedicated to student success.
Yes.
Right? There's a quote in there about UMBC that 87% of the graduates from UMBC go right into a job, go to graduate school, right? That's remarkable. That is remarkable. And that is a goal that we have set out here at USG as well. We want to work with all of our partners to see that students not only complete their degrees, but they enter into meaningful careers as well.
Yes.
Tell us about that challenge. That's a remarkable statistic.
Sure.
How have you accomplished that?
Sure. And first of all, you have 2 groups. You have those who are going directly to grad school, Meyerhoffs, Linehan Artists, and others, and that's about 40% of our students go immediately to grad school. Now, some will work and go to grad school tonight. Many go directly on to grad school. But, and then you've got this other large percentage, and it's because of internships, the things we're working on here at USG, the partnerships we have with the different companies, with the different agencies, with social services, getting people involved in internships much sooner, getting them thinking that way. It makes a big difference. And the other thing I would say is that listening to the advice of prospective employers to make, because you talk in your plan about not only getting them jobs, but making sure they're career ready, making sure they have the skills they need. Shirley knows this, Kevin knows this, and thank you all for emceeing over there and everything. The fact is that if you think about it, we want to know that students can speak well, write well, think critically, work with other people, understand intercultural communication. These are the things you're teaching here that we teach at UMBC on the other campus. I'll call it the Catonsville campus, and this is the Shady Grove campus. Wait a minute. There's something about that main campus I don't care about. We'll just call them that. But what I would say to you is that what's really important is that for us, we want the product to be of high quality. Because when the product is of high quality, employees come at you. We want more. We want more of these people. And this is what we love about UMBC. So always remember, because sometimes our name, we're still just 50-some years old. Some people will sometimes call us not quite the name. I was honored when they called us University of Maryland, Baltimore. We love University of Maryland, but we're University of Maryland, Baltimore County. If you want to remember it, you must be clever. Did you get that? You must be clever. All right. Got to have these ways of getting this new name in the minds of people, right? But USG, oh yeah. We really appreciate that. And I would say, and I'm hearing this from Anika and other people, as our students get jobs and they're doing well in these different fields, what it means is people want more of them, whether it's in industrial psychology or in history or in the tech areas, and we want to keep building those numbers. We want those numbers to grow a lot. Okay? Because let me just say this, the more we grow, the more the legislature loves us. Let's just be honest about it. It's just true. I mean, when you can show that you are an economic powerhouse and you're producing first-rate graduates who can feed this economy, people say, give them the money they need. Yeah. And by the way, and let me just say, and I know Jay would want me to say this, elected officials are being very supportive of higher education. Would you give them a round of applause? Jay will give me a bonus later. That's okay.
Fortunate in this state for the political support for higher education. It's amazing for all education.
Sure.
It's remarkable.
Sure, in the K through 12 and what we see. And people look at this college, Montgomery College and Montgomery County Public Schools, as a standard. People want to know what you are, not just from this state, but when I'm in other states and I talk about you, people want to know more about how you're doing what you're doing, right? And we talk about the dynamics of all these things, very much so.
So one of our wonderful employers here in the county, Jeff Galvin, who heads up American Gene Technologies, he has referred to graduates coming out of Shady Grove as intellectual decathletes.
I love it.
And I said, like, wow, that's quite a
really
term. He said, no, you know, he said they come with this amazing,
it.
full, multidisciplinary education from Montgomery College.
Yes.
They get the 2 years here as well at,
Yes.
at Shady Grove,
Yes.
and they're ready to hit the ground running
Yes.
because they are career ready.
Yes.
And I will call out TLST as,
I love it.
in that effort as well.
I love it. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So there is that. You know, I think you're right. The students coming here, they're driven, they're motivated.
Yes.
But I also think this focus on multidisciplinarity, right? Exposure to the arts as well as the sciences.
Yes.
They get that experience at Montgomery College.
Yes.
They get that experience in MCPS.
Yes.
They get that experience here at Shady Grove as well. We have 9 university partners.
Yes.
You know, they're interacting with students from other campuses all the time.
Sure.
You've been a real champion of this multidisciplinarity.
Yes.
As a fellow in the National Academy of Public Administration,
Very
I've
honored.
heard you talk about the importance of the policy side as well as the
Yes.
scientific side.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how you see this view of multiple disciplines
Sure.
coming together to solve problems.
Multiple disciplines and multiple campuses. There's a sea change that those of us who've been around a long time would know, that the universities appreciate the important role that USG plays now far more than ever, because we see people coming out of this institution and the different campuses from here. And what's significant about that is that, again, as the employers talk about it, it makes a difference, but your fundamental question is one that I think about a lot. We tend to think that you're going to solve a problem by, students think you have one major and you solve the problem. Well, even within one major, you see more interdisciplinarity. And I'm looking at psychology and thinking about how they use this other social sciences, from statistics to what they do when thinking about the life sciences there. You know, we've got people who are on both sides, those who may be in the life sciences area with psychology, those who are on the other side, quantitative and qualitative evaluation. And that's true in every area, that when you think about biotech, you're talking about coming from a number of disciplines, and that's true across disciplines. We have to teach students that just learning one course of study is not enough. That's why the broad education is really important. But just perfect example, data science right now, at the intersection, you see, of computation and statistics. With that social science grounding, students are learning how you use computing and statistical measurement combined with all the social science problems we're facing. So we will be solving problems more and more in that multidisciplinary fashion. And the more we can do to give students that background, the better off we are. Very much so.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know we are pushing the limits of our time, and so I'm going to wrap up with one last question.
Yes.
A recent poll of university presidents in Inside Higher Education noted some confidence among presidents for the fiscal situation coming out of COVID, coming out of the pandemic. But one part of that poll really caught my attention, and that was a kind of you know, a little bit upset, a little bit worried about the fact that the public still doesn't fully appreciate the value of education, the value of higher education.
Sure.
And there was a little bit of anxiety about that in the poll.
Right.
Where do you see the future of higher education going? We know you're not leaving. We know you're going to still be deeply involved in a lot of this work ahead.
Yes.
Where do we need to put our energy?
Sure.
What are the, I know we have many challenges we'll continue to work on, but as we go forward, what's the message for all of us? Where do we focus? Where do we put our energy to address this challenge and to really make education available to everyone?
I challenge each person in here, whether you are an elected official, an educator, a student, to become an ambassador for higher education. An ambassador. I don't know a family that's been fortunate to educate one or two of its kids who didn't want the others to get higher education. 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees, post-secondary education, post-second jobs for the future talks about that. 4-year college is not for everybody. Let me be honest about that. A lot of people want something else first. They may want a certificate program. They may want an AA. You got plenty of jobs, but post-secondary opportunities with a continuum, with more and more getting that first and wanting to go on and get more. But think about it. When we say, oh, people don't have confidence, We don't know people who get educated who don't want their kids to get educated or their spouses to become educated. We know the value, not just in terms of getting a job, but in terms of being a good thinker, in terms of being able to separate what is truth from what may be on the other side of truth, right? And to have that balance to be able to understand how we learn how to listen to different perspectives and to work towards the common ground, but to make sure what we are following is the truth. I mean, of all the things I can say about higher education, it is that we know evidence matters, experts matter, and so we must all be the people to speak that truth, but we have to do it in a way that does not sound condescending. People often think of scientists or mathematicians or people college educated as thinking they're better than other people. Only a third of Americans today have a 4-year degree, and another certain percentage would have 2 years, but still, you're talking about under half of American population. So most people in America, most families have never had someone graduate, and as a result, they may not trust. It's up to us to speak the language of just being a decent human being and to let people know you can do this. This is what I love about USG when you talk about access, affordability, success, and a job. You know, we must all speak that language to respect people who've not been as blessed as we are. I will tell you this. I've been in this state now 45 years, 35 at UMBC, the first 10 at Coppin in the inner city, and 30 as president. I cannot imagine being in another state that is more supportive of education, K through 12. And we are more blessed than we realize. And in these times, with so much going awry in the world right now, we need more educated people to understand these issues, to understand what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, the global part, that we are connected. We only get that through education, you know? And that is, so when we're doing this Retrieve of Gratefulness tour right now, and people say they've been grateful to me, I am grateful to this state that took a 26-year-old kid and from Birmingham and gave me a chance to understand what it means to serve humanity. I am truly grateful to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you got to do what my students do with me, and you got to repeat this. They always want me to do this. Repeat after me. Thoughts. Words. Actions. Habits. Character. Destiny. Again, thoughts. Words. Actions. Habits. Character. Destiny. Here's your test. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. You see, some knew it, some didn't. The message is, psychologists, to be mindful. You've got to be mindful in what you do. You can't just do it. Elliot appreciates this. You got to think about it. So we're going to do it one more time, and then I'm going to give you the test. Thoughts. Words. Actions. Habits. Character. Destiny. Okay, here we go. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character becomes your destiny. Now you got to do it like it's a basketball game, like you really mean it. Like when we beat Yale this year in mock trial. Big round of applause when we beat Yale. Okay. And I'm not going to say it loud because I'm not going to lose my voice again tonight. But I want you to say it loud. Thoughts. Words. Actions. Habits. Character. Destiny. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your habits. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Your habits, they become your character. Your character becomes your destiny.
Thank you so much, Freeman.
If I can have your attention just briefly. We're going to adjourn, but I want to give our county executive an opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
I'm really honored to be here. The first time I saw you, met you, was at Martin Luther King Day breakfast. And People say lots of things at those events. They often make people comfortable. You made people really uncomfortable. You so if you know me, I don't mind making people uncomfortable, so I actually like that. You called on people to do, and you recognized this problem wasn't going away. The problem of racism is real, it's deep, it's seated in this society, and no matter what our individual successes are, that does not eradicate the bigger problem. And I was really impressed with that, because I hear lots of speeches, and I knew what you were saying was coming from the heart. I knew what you were saying called people to do more than what most people were used to doing. So that was really important to me. Fast forward a few years, I'm elected county executive. I'm meeting with businesses in Montgomery County and with a tech company. And I said, so where do you get your talent from? And they said, your program at UMBC. And I wanted to know how much they used you and what other people are doing. They said a lot of people call on your program. So, I did this tour of the university system wanting to know what people were doing, and I went to your campus. And I was really impressed with what I saw. I think I asked you to bring that program down here. Because it was amazing, and that transition from the teaching you were doing to the actual incubator and people setting up businesses, I'm like, this is the way things should go. And I was very, very impressed with it. And then you walked me through the building. And whether it was showing me people who were working at tables together, or whether it was going down to where people were eating, you knew everybody. And people knew you, and I thought your relationship was part father and part mentor. And it was really important. I went to the University of Maryland in the 60s. There was like no chance that the president of that university would walk around the campus and know anybody, or even let alone talk to anybody. And your fluidity with the students and the way they talked to you and the way they treated you was just remarkable. And the way you reciprocated it with genuineness, that was really, really touching. And I thought, you're as special as I thought you were the first time. And I just want to end on the personal note. You and I were walking there, right? And you kind of pulled me away and said, let's walk over here. And you confronted me with my health in a very quiet, gentle way. You didn't say, what the heck are you doing to yourself? But it was clear you understood what was going on. And you told me intermittent fasting and what I should do. And for anybody who knows anything about diabetes, I was blowing 430 on my sugar, which is astoundingly bad. And buying everything on the internet you could possibly buy to fix it. None of it worked. So after a bit of frustration, I said, what the heck? Nothing I'm doing is working. And within 3 months, I had dropped like an A1C of 12 down to like 6.5 or something. And I don't know what would have happened to me if you hadn't talked to me. I could have persisted in what I was doing, but I trusted you. You approached me as a human being. You didn't lecture me, but you told me what you had done and why it made a difference. And so for me personally, you affected my life in a really profound way. There's 50 pounds less of me. I don't have the problems that I had before. And I think that's I appreciated your personal courage to talk to somebody that you didn't know really well and say, I'm seeing this, and this is what I went through, and I appreciated that personal bond and connection. So I have a great deal of appreciation for your work. You told me a little bit what you're going to do. You're going to amass more air miles. I mean, when you talk about all the places you're going to be working with, you're going to be getting there, and I anticipate lots of air travel, lots of air miles. I hope you carve out enough private space to enjoy the air miles, doing something other than go into one of these, but I'm just really impressed with what you've always done. I want to thank you for your friendship and your partnership through all this, and I look forward to talking to you as you move forward. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, that ends our evening here, and so if you retire out to the outside, there's some refreshments there and an opportunity for you to see people in 3D. So enjoy. Yeah, and that too. Yes, and also please stop by the area where the UMBC programs are set up so you can get a sense of what UMBC does here. Thank you.